Hey, I'm Raymond from the Beginner Photography Podcast, and today we are talking about when to buy new camera gear and when to save some cash and buy used. So let's get into it. Photography is one hell of an expensive hobby. If you want to get a beginner kit to start brewing beer, it may cost you $100. You want to learn how to cook? You just need to pay for the supplies. Fishing costs a permit, a rod and a reel, some bait, so less than about $60. Sure, as you get more into these hobbies, the price can start to add up. If you want something more than just the cell phone in your pocket and get even an entry-level DSLR, the cameras start at more than $700. So why not buy used gear instead? Okay, look, I hear you. What if the previous owner treated their gear poorly? A used camera doesn't come with a warranty. What if there's a scratch on the lens that I couldn't see in the eBay listing? What if the lens looks fine, but the autofocus is broken? Newer cameras have 5 times more megapixels. What if I get it and it just doesn't work? I don't want to get ripped off. Listen, I understand. With how much used gear can cost, it can still be a scary investment. But when done right, you can save a ton of money that you can then put towards even more gear. So here are my tips to picking out the right used gear so that you don't get burned and can save a ton of money. Where to buy? Okay, I'll be honest. I have personally spent close to $12,000 on used camera gear on eBay that I have used in my own personal wedding photography business. And I've never had a problem. But I was diligent and I followed a few rules. I knew what I wanted, I knew what to look out for, and I knew that if it looked too good to be true, just pass it up. No matter the savings here, the headache is not worth it if the equipment is bad. So should you go straight to eBay? I'd say no. Not if you're making your first used camera decision. I highly recommend that you go to a local camera store to put your hands on a camera or lens before you buy. A local camera store's reputation is on the line, and if the camera does not meet your standards or expectations, or it fails, you should be able to return it with no issues. Buying in person will always be the best place to buy used gear if possible. But whether you're looking online or in person, here are my tips to buying used gear. Cameras. Know the camera before making a decision. The difference between a Nikon D3200 and a Canon 1DX Mark II is more than just $4,000. They are completely different cameras and they are designed to do 2 completely different tasks. The 1DX Mark II can survive Arctic temperatures, sudden downpours, and over 500,000 shutter actuation. The Nikon D3200, on the other hand, would struggle to make it even to 100,000 shutter actuations. So when looking at a used camera with 200,000 shutter actuations, the camera could be the difference between moments away from death and years worth of life left on it. This is why knowing the camera is so important. Scratches and scuffs. When I bought my first used camera, I would skip right over any camera with a scratch or a scuff on it. I thought that it must have fell or been hit, but after owning many cameras, I know now that my flash rubbing up against the top of the camera in my padded, protected camera bag can cause wear. Now, this does not mean that the camera is trash. Try to get a good look at the camera and determine whether it's simple wear or something worse. Around the top of the camera where the flash is mounted, the bottom of the camera where it's connected to a tripod, or on the side where the camera may rest on a camera belt. These are all super common places for wear. Got dark outside. As long as there are no gashes, I would say that the camera should be just fine. But what about the lack of warranty? Okay, this is one of the biggest concerns for sure. If something were to go wrong, what do you do? If you buy from a local camera store or a reputable online retailer like KEH, the odds are they will take care of the issue. But when buying from an auction site like eBay, or even in person from Craigslist, if something goes wrong, you will have a much harder time getting the issue fixed. There you go. This is where the price of a camera and your willingness to pay for the repair to get the issue fixed comes in. And honestly, it's just a choice that you will have to make for yourself. Okay, so we talked about cameras, now what about lenses? The rubber is going to tell a better story than the glass. The quality of a used lens is more than just the glass that it shoots through. On higher end lenses, the glass is extremely strong, and it's not likely to scratch. Meaning that a lens may have been abused, but because the glass is so good, you may have no idea. And this is why the rubber on the lens is a much better indicator of the lens's use. The rubber is going to be much more pliable than the glass, so look for loose fitting or stretched out rubber. Look to see how much play is in the zoom ring. The rubber should be nice and tight. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Sure, the rubber could be replaced, but the actual rubber itself here is not on trial. The rubber is just the indicator of how the rest of the lens was treated. So replacing the rubber may only solve a very small issue with the lens itself. Scratches, dust, and fungus. You don't want to see a lens's glass with scratches, and you don't want to look through it and see dust or fungus. These can be really bad signs. I would honestly stay away from a lens where the glass is scratched or you can visibly see dust and fungus inside. However, if you are on a tight budget, my goodness, and need a specific lens, and the only one that you can afford has a tiny scratch on the glass, well, I might not be turned off by that. You might be surprised at how much of a scratch it would take on a lens to affect the overall picture quality. Honestly, so try to mount the lens on a camera body. Take a few photos and look at them on a computer. And then determine for yourself if you can notice if the scratches show up on the image. And if not, well, then you might have just saved yourself a heap of cash. Cha-ching! Just remember that scratches are different than normal wear on a lens. Where a lens mounts on your camera or on larger lens where it mounts to a tripod, or a paint scuff are not things where I would worry too much about. I find that when people spend a lot of money on a camera or a lens, they typically try to take really good care of it. So simply by following these tips to buying used gear, your fear of getting burned or wasting money should be gone. But after all of this, the camera will not make you a great photographer. It can only do what you tell it. You might get the same results from a $400 used camera as you would a $4,000 new camera. So if you liked this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. But if you want to grow your skills as a photographer, you need education. And if you want more helpful information to growing your skills, even if you just have the cell phone in your pocket, be sure to sign up for our free 14-day video course, Photography Basics for Beginners, 14 Days to Better Photos. Get this, it's totally free, and a new video is going to be delivered to your inbox every single day. So just click the link in the description below to sign up now. And that's it. Get out there, shoot, and I will see you next time.